welcome to the tutorial for French gender. This will be presented on a iPhone simulator Retina display, but functionally it's identical to the iPad app and the appearance is quite similar, so it's appropriate for that. As well, this is for the full version, but I will make a comment at various points as to limitations of the free version, and hopefully you'll be compelled to upgrade. So in a nutshell, the purpose of this app is to teach you the patterns, noun-ending patterns, that denote gender in about 95% of the cases. As we all know, especially for people new to French, gender is one of the most complex aspects, especially if you come from a language where there isn't gender like English. But hopefully this will be another tool in your toolbox to help you get around that. So we'll first look at the reference section, and these alerts will pop up. They'll be helpful to you perhaps after this tutorial, but they're redundant at this point. So at a glance, you see quite a few, 66 to be exact, patterns, noun gender patterns, all to do with the endings. So in this case you have VE, and there are 3 exceptions, and it's in pink, so a not so subtle indication that the rule is all nouns that end in VE are feminine, but there are 3 exceptions, okay? As opposed to all nouns ending in Z or Z, depending where you are masculine, and there are no exceptions. That means that in all the French language, all the nouns, there are no exceptions. And let's go look at this one. Again, we can ignore this. And again, it repeats that nouns ending with VE are usually feminine, however there are 3 exceptions. Now I give you some conforming nouns, feminine, that end in VE, and also I give you translations. Now initially I didn't give translations, but that was a common request by my customers, so I gave in and I put them in. In some cases they are absolutely necessary, because strangely enough you'll have the same word in French, but depending on the context it can be feminine or masculine. So I think we do actually have a case by coincidence here. So if I press the detective, just give
Une
it
détective.
I'll play it again.
Une détective.
Okay, so you hear, not surprisingly, a woman's voice saying it, and with the correct article. And you notice that it's detective if female. Okay, the detective actually can be same word, but depending on the context, if it's referring to a male, it's obviously a masculine.
Un détective.
I shouldn't say obviously, that's a mistake. Sometimes you do have a word which could refer, generally if it refers to a male, it's going to be masculine, and if it's appropriate for a female, it's going to be feminine. Then you have another, so this is an exceptional noun.
Un détective.
And there's another one.
Un fleuve. Un rêve.
Okay, so the object is you kind of program yourself. A noun flashes up, you identify the appropriate pattern, in this case VE. You remember that, okay, it's feminine typically, but if I remember correctly, there are 3 exceptions, and then you have the gender. We'll try another one. Well, this one's easy. They're always masculine. Okay,
Un jazz. Un nez.
I'll give you a few examples of conforming. Of course, there are probably thousands of such nouns. It's all a matter of programming yourself. And there's a little calculator, if you will. If you've ever come across this noun before.
Un fleuve.
Okay, so it tells you that what pattern belongs to, and that it's usually feminine, thus the pink. But look at the blue background. This noun is an exception, it's masculine, and of course we just heard a masculine voice. Now, with this calculator, mind you, there are 1,403 nouns presently, each with the appropriate recording, feminine or masculine, among the 66 patterns. But this calculator actually lets you type in words that I don't have in the database. So you can type in this. Okay. It's not in the database, but it looks at the ending and it makes an educated guess as to its gender. And you can look that up, second source. I always encourage verifying with second or even third sources. But this one is feminine, belongs to this pattern here. So that's for reference. We're going to go to practice now, which is what it's all about. This is a very long, you're welcome to read this at your leisure. Now, there are 3 modes. One's quite new, and essentially different ways of practicing. So, well, guided mode, briefly, is it looks at how you performed before. Of course, this is where we've just started this app, so we don't have a history. It looks at how you performed before in terms of recognizing the gender of nouns, and guides you appropriately through the various patterns. So we can go through that. This is important to remember. With this mode, actually with the 3 modes, there's no end. You can go as long as you want. Okay. So what we have here is we have the French word and a reminder of what pattern is, and a translation, handy translation at the bottom. Remember, the translation is just it's a bonus for you. I'd rather have you look at the ending and build that internal program up, but sometimes it's essential to disambiguate between the same word but different contexts. So we'll press this. Hopefully we're right, and indeed we are right because we didn't get a mistake. And let's pretend that we don't know what the gender is of this A. Okay. So we're going to press this.
Une armada.
And we're scolded and told that usually these words that end with A are masculine, but this is one of the exceptions. I can't remember how many exceptions there are. You can check in the reference, and it's feminine. Okay. And it remembers our responses and kind of feeds us, guides us along. That's the guided. Now, some of these words, especially the exceptional words, are quite uncommon, but that just shows you how exceptional they are. Okay, so even if you're experienced with French and you just want to build up this reflex, don't be discouraged if you see a word that you've never seen before. I've shown this app to native speakers, and there's a couple words that they didn't know either. Again, it just emphasized how exceptional these words are in terms of ignoring the rule of the noun ending. Okay. And then this one, it'll look very similar to. I should add that you'll see this band up here that essentially as it gets closer to pure yellow, it indicates how.
Un camélia.
Oh, I made a mistake. That's supposed to be masculine, but you can see a little. It's fading. It's coming in very slowly, but it shows your mastery. Now with this random mode, it gives you words completely randomly, regardless of how you did before, but only from select patterns. Now, if you've been a long-time user of this, it will use all 66 patterns, or if you're in the free version, 6 patterns, because that was the original behavior. But another customer of mine did have a good recommendation to limit to certain patterns. So as you get more comfortable, you can add patterns to it. So the random mode will only take words from the selected patterns, which is good, because otherwise it can be quite overwhelming. So if we just want to practice this one, we can do so, and it indicates the patterns there, and we can add more as we become more comfortable. Okay. Again, if you've used this app before, it'll have one pattern, arbitrarily the first pattern up here. If you use this before, you'll have all pattern 66. If you're new to it, you'll have one pattern. And the next one was also a good suggestion by a customer, and this is a bit of a challenge, mind you. You actually you have to determine the gender, the typical gender of the pattern. Okay. See, this pattern is typically masculine, and so I got that wrong. Okay. This one is feminine, usually, and I pressed masculine by mistake. That's kind of advanced, but it is useful for building that reflex up. I'm going to, and then you can practice any. This is an alternative. You can practice any pattern that you want. So it's kind of a self-paced learning if you don't want to go this way. But if you go through here, I'm going to show you. If you just watch the top bar, you'll see that the color changes according.
Une armada.
I made a mistake. It changes according
Un
to
camélia.
the your mastery of that particular word. If you just be patient, you can see it coming in. Okay, there we go. So apparently I'm getting close to nailing this one down. And if you do a few more,
Une coda.
if you do a few more and get them correct, you will see, yes, that this pattern you've gotten some correct answers. You're heading towards mastery, and once you reach mastery, it turns a different color altogether. So it just gives you some indication of your progress and how you might want to proceed. That's it for practice. If we go to settings, there's just a couple. If you don't care about the translations, personally I don't like to have the translations there, because I prefer just relying not on the meaning but on the ending of the word. You lose the translations. But when translation is necessary to distinguish between the same word but different context, then you'll see it. This one is off by default, but some people might find it useful. If you go in here and you have a correct answer.
Un cinéma.
Okay. If it says it, but also it tells you, it emphasizes that yes, indeed, this is usually masculine, and cinema follows this pattern. That's something I didn't want to turn on by default, but for some people it might be appropriate. Now you'll notice that throughout that we would come to, oh, okay, and yes, actually I didn't plan this, but this is a bit of a nag screen. If you want to rate or review this app, you can choose never or not now, or my preference, just choose yes, but we won't do it now, and it won't bother you too often, even if you say later. And if you say never, it won't bother you again. But what I was going to show you is that when you come in here, you have you typically had an alert coming up the first time. If you miss those alerts, you can go back here and they'll come up. Okay, just if you need a refresher. And finally, we've done some work, as is evidenced by the color, but we can always, if we want to start fresh, we can clear our scores. Okay, we can go back in Virgin Snow. Finally, we can go here for additional info. This is a link to this same tutorial. You can review this, which I would appreciate greatly, especially a positive review. We have a support site, or I have a support site rather, or if you prefer, you can email me directly. Okay. Also, I have some suggested apps. You may be familiar with them. I'm not sure. French numbers, French alphabet, French sounds. You probably see a pattern here. My apps focus on the foundation of French, or other languages, in fact, but so French sounds actually is the French phonemes. Just to give you a ground, because I find that a lot of students kind of leapfrog over the basics, hungry to communicate, which is fine, but sometimes you have to go back. Okay, oh, and with the free version, I should add that it's limited to 6 patterns. So when you go in here, you'll just see 6, and here you'll see 6, etc., etc. Everything is going to be limited to patterns. But if you think that this app will be useful to you, you'll go in here, and there'll be an additional button to upgrade. And I should say that if you bought this upgraded on a iPhone, for instance, but haven't also downloaded the same app on an iPad, when you go in here, it'll automatically ask you if you want to check for a previous purchase. Okay, and that's it. I hope to hear from you either directly or through the support site, and I thank you very much and wish you good luck.